Hey there, it's Lowell Wild Jr. A year and a half ago, the fall of 2020, I did a series called Making a First Impression, your first chance to make a first impression. And it was really well received, and people have started emailing me wondering how they can see that video again and going through some of the same ideas and thought processes. So we decided to run that series again starting now. So for the next 4 weeks, we're going to go through the 4 things that I've identified which are critical in making a first impression. And while the saying goes, you only have one chance to make a first impression, I actually think there are 4 opportunities to make a first impression. So enjoy. Hey there, it's Lowell Wild Jr. Today I'm going to start a series of what I'm calling First Impression. And I know there's a saying that goes, you only have one chance to make a first impression. And that is true. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. But I think that there are multiple points in our experience with our patients that create a first impression. So today, I'm going to talk about the true first impression, which is the telephone. When people call you, the first impression that they have of your organization in terms of a one-on-one experience is when the telephone is answered. How much time do you spend? How much money have you spent? How much of your life have you spent to get the telephone to ring for people to want to make an appointment to see you or people within your organization? You've spent money on marketing. You spent money on your website. You've made relationships with people in the community, other doctors, whatever it may be. And you've got people calling to make an appointment. So when that person picks up the phone, what are they saying and how are they representing you? And are they getting patients who are trying to come in to see you actually coming in to see you? This became really important to me throughout the course of us growing Wild Foot and Ankle Institute, and we've been really deliberate about creating great telephone answering. But it became even more important in the last few weeks. Recently, we had some issues with some technology that drives our call center. We have 18 representatives at our call center, and our technology was starting to fail, and we had to do an upgrade of technology. And since we did that upgrade in technology, our call center reps and the patients calling are saying they're getting a way better experience. Well, then last Thursday afternoon, I got a call from one of my patients on my cell phone saying the phones aren't working. And I called our call center and it went to a quick busy. And it turned out that the phone provider we had was having problems and no phones were ringing at all in our organization. And that is just hugely troublesome for me because I don't want anybody to have a problem getting in to hear us and talk to us and see us. Also, a few years ago, I was challenged by someone that said, how many people who call your office to make an appointment actually make an appointment and show up for that appointment? And when I started to evaluate it, that number was a lot lower than I had hoped and expected. And I would ask you to do some of that evaluation yourself. So let's get to the nuts and bolts of this. When somebody calls and somebody picks up the phone on your end, what do they hear? Is it a pleasant, happy voice? Is it somebody who identifies themselves and identifies your practice, or is it just doctor's office? Is the person answering the phone 100% engaged in that call, or are they answering the question of somebody who's at the front desk in front of them who's checking in, paying a copay, making a follow-up appointment? If that person's attention is not 100% on that phone call may not go the way you want it to. Also, are they saying, please hold, and they put somebody on hold, and then the person who's calling your office for the very first time is on hold for 1, 2, 3 minutes, hangs up, may or may not call back? And is the person who does talk to them providing the information that you want them to? Giving them the proper information to get them in as a new patient, makes them feel good about your office and ultimately good about showing up for your office visit. So I would encourage you to maybe do some calls to your call people and just blindly call and see how those phone calls are answered. Also sit behind them from time to time and listen what they're doing. You should be scripting out your calls to make sure the people are answering your calls in the way you want them to, so that the person who is making the call and the potential patient is getting the experience that you want. And when you do all those things, what you're going to start to see happening is that your new patient volume is going to start to increase. Your patients are going to start to comment on how great the call answering is, and you're just going to have a practice that is thriving more and more in the way that you have invested and committed. So this week I want you to look at your first impression, and next week we're going to talk about some more first impressions. Have a great week. So I hope you enjoyed this first how to make a first impression video. We're going to have 3 more next week, the following week, and the week after. So we want to stay tuned. And also, we're running a webinar about how to build a $1 million podiatric practice. So sign up for the webinar below, and also make plans to join us for our 9th annual event, April 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And registration is coming out below, or at the webinar, you'll see more about it. So have a great week.